X-Men 97, Episode 8, Tolerance is Extinction. My oh my, what a wonderful world of cameos. All right, guys. Branch here back for Geek Ferns. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, X-Men 97, and our super excited fan at the bottom, ready to rock and roll. It's all yours, Will. Have the floor.
Hey man, look, they said before that this was going to set the tone for the rest of the season. Episodes 8 through 10 are just supposed to be off the handle, and for sure, without a doubt, this episode was wild. There's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff we're going to get into. And basically, let's start with the fact is that we got Cable back, and him, Scott, and Jean are trying to figure it out. They're trying to get themselves together and understand, like, hey, what are we? What needs to happen? What is going forward? And it's a rift in that relationship because again, hey, I don't know you, Dad. You kind of left me. Scott feels some type of way about it. Gene, I'm not the mother.
Suck it up.
So yeah, it's a whole bunch of issues and stuff
Just
with
suck it
that.
up.
But eventually it just gets down to like, hey, where's the key? Where's all this coming from? And we already seen Bastion. We seen what's going on with him. So that, and he's up to some stuff. And they end up tracking it down to was that his mother's house, the family home.
That was where he grew up.
So they head to the family home. And that's when you find out more about Bastion and how he got his powers and how he was set up. Dad was a janitor.
Thank you for giving us a backstory.
And it was it wasn't over convoluted. Hey, Dad was a janitor. He got infected by a freaking technovirus and stuff like that. And basically he impregnated freaking his mother, and Bastion was born out of, all that freaking
shenanigans.
All that, shenanigans is the perfect word for that. So because of that, he ended up being able to hear machines and interact with technology, and that just kind of set him up to, not understand what's going on, and he's just building himself up more and more to be the villain. Basically, he came from a world where everything was controlled. Basically, mutants were a big part of society. They were the backbone of society, but more or less, they were the workers of society. They were enslaved to work and do the bidding of Bastion and freaking his Sentinels.
Did you see how many Sentinels he had flying around in the future in the Utopia? You had
so
like
many.
6 per mutant.
Yo, like they were not playing any games. If somebody got out of line, they were ready to handle it on sight.
And it's already been proven that Prime Sentinels can handle a group of mutants. So when you have 6 handling one, it also shows that if you watch and saw the mutants, you saw Polaris, who, as we all know, is the daughter of Magneto. She is an Omega level mutant, and she had about 10 on her. Mm-hmm. And the way I was watching it, the more powerful, the higher rating on the scale that the mutant is, the more Sentinels he had on that mutant. Like the ones that was just breaking rocks that was on the line, they had 1 or 2 hanging around. It was a whole line of them. But the big boys, the more important ones, that's where you could see he had a plan for everybody.
That's what it got down to. It's just like, again, his setup was immaculate for what he had in the future, as far as making sure that nobody was getting out of line. And we still see Sinister, who's still a big player in this. He's not completely ruled out. It's just, he's just an underling of Bastion. No, Sinister's got his own motives and his own stuff that he's watching for.
And what people need to know about Sinister, he was prominent in the comics. He wasn't always the main villain, but when he was, mainly attached to Apocalypse. But even when he was attached to Apocalypse, he had his own thing he was working on along with Apocalypse. So he might have been doing this job, but in the back, he has something that's going to benefit him, even if that meant taking over and doing something to Apocalypse. And that's the same dynamic I think he has here with Bastion. Bastion, yeah, he's the big bad up front. Sinister is there still as 1B in the background, like as soon as you slip up,
he's waiting.
I'm gonna handle you.
Again, he's waiting to go ahead and handle his business, and that's the other thing. And that's what I'm looking at as we see how the Prime Sentinels are getting made. We see that he's taking humans that have that hate. He's finding them in the chat rooms, all that kind of stuff, who have that hate for mutants, and bringing them in, and then transposing powers into them so that they can be his army and basically they're just kind of like, on site, like, oh, there's a mutant, they activate, they're ready to go. Does Sinister have something going on in the background? Does he have a
Yes.
failsafe installed? Like,
Yes.
what has Sinister got going on? And even with all of Bastion's planning and again getting backstory, he even turned his mother into one of these things. Like, he has no remorse for anything. Like, he is just ready to get the job done of whatever it is that he's trying to get done.
And
Which,
I think that's one of the scariest things about Bastion and his Sentinel army. Anybody can be one. Any human can be a Prime Sentinel. It doesn't matter who they are, and you don't know until he activates them. Kind of like Batman and his Omax in DC. But so I was watching it, and let's talk about the fight at the mansion, because you had Wolverine in there, and of course, I really have a disdain for him because I think he's overrated. Anything outside of armed reach for him, he's useless. He is. But I will say he was whooping butt in that little scene. They had him up in the sky. Next thing I know, swoop, slicing him, taking him apart, falling through the sky. Which I never understand, because Wolverine with that 700-pound skeleton hit the ground, he should leave a crater. It shouldn't just bounce. But that's a whole another thing. And I like how it showed that no matter what you did to these Sentinels, you couldn't defeat them.
they kept coming back.
Literally, one head on the ground, he just bends over, puts his head back on, and they start fighting. And then who shows up? Nightcrawler.
Oh,
Bravo for Nightcrawler. Bravo. There's so much respect added to that character.
The setup,
a new fan,
the setup,
no idea.
No,
Dude,
the setup was golden. Nightcrawler
was
has been since
perfect.
Nightcrawler showed up in just the series. It's like that. He has been on point. He has been freaking a great brother. He has been like a therapist for the group. He has been freaking that voice of reason. He has been there to support everybody. Like, he has just been like the greatest freaking companion you could have throughout.
He's the perfect sidekick.
It works out so gratefully. So when he got hit on that wall and they dropped them swords, I'm like, give it to me.
Next thing you know, Wolverine was like, I got 6 reasons. Nightcrawler popped in and said,
Like,
no, you have 9.
9. Like, even with the tail wielding and stuff like that, it was so great that, like, again, the scrap was going down and they was kind of getting into it. And even though they kept regenerating, still, like, the scrap was going.
And we know how much I hate the X-Men movies, but one of the greatest things from those atrocious movies was the Nightcrawler scene when he opened up and he was in the White House, and this scene rivaled that one blow for blow, literally. And I was like,
Look, the best part about that scene is I loved seeing from Wolverine's perspective the teleportation of Nightcrawler.
Yes,
that was so beautifully done, and how he was pulled through, and he was like everybody that gets pulled through that, they're going to experience something. So that's kind of what it is. And the fact is that we now have an understanding of how that works is really freaking cool. Like, absolutely love it. So that fight was on point. Wolverine was scrapping. Let's talk about some of the other fights and stuff.
Let's talk about Cyclops, because I know it's going to agitate Brent, because in this episode,
he didn't agitate me today.
I think we can all agree that Cyclops redeemed himself 100%. He already gave us the greatest superhero landing ever the first time. Now this man drove a Porsche from an exploding airplane, landed it on the side of a cliff, and started drifting. Come on now.
Fast and the Furious Summer Road.
Come on. And then he was like, yeah, let's do this. And that scene right there when they was fighting, you had what? At least
you have a
20? You had like 20 Sentinels. And you're like, yeah, I got a Porsche. Come on, dude. I don't just ride bikes. Come on. It's like they're on the run for like 20 Sentinels. And next thing you know, he looks over at Jean. He's like, let's show him what the Summers can do. And I'm like, what? And here they go.
Top.
What?
And convertible
wrecking shop. I'm like, yes. And right when they did that, I said, yep, Brent is mad. Ha, 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 ha. My boy came through. Hey,
it was great, because you got a whole lot of, I mean, even when Nightcrawler was talking to Jean and stuff like that about the emotions and about what you feel, and blood is blood, but family is a choice.
Correct.
And that's a great freaking thing, because I mean, family is a choice. Like, you do get to choose who you really want in your circle and who you don't want to associate with. So the fact is that they kind of had that come full circle moment, like, hey, we're the Summers, we're finna handle business and stuff like that. Him and Cable had that little, that moment, like bam, like it was great. So everybody got on the same page and they just
Also,
made stuff happen.
people forget that even though Jean is not his mom, she has all the memories and all the feelings of being his mom. So Madeline is dead for all we know.
Mm.
Jean has all of these memories in her mind of Cable. Remember when she was like, why was Madeline so happy all the time? How many times you come back? Oh, that's why. Every time you came back, she was happy. That right there lets you know that trio. Yeah, come on now.
Yeah,
But
that trio is definitely something. So I'm more than happy that they set up Cyclops and Jean and Cable the way they did. Let's go into, we got some more from Jubilee. And
I still hate this. I still hate it.
It's that scene was probably the only thing that did nothing for me, other than the fact that he finally decided to embrace his powers. Like, look, I've been training. I wanted to show you that I care. That was it.
All I wanted.
And I'm glad we finally got the real version of Sunspot, not just one limb, him doing his powers. I wanted the full version. It's still not the comic Sunspot, because the comic Roberto is powerful. He's still learning, and I love how Jubilee was trying to fly. She was thinking about her future self and how her future self was jumping all around, and Jubilee tried it and then shot a fireworks and then fell. I laughed at that. That was funny. I expected no less, and here comes Sunspot flying in. I will say that I hate her. I hate his mom. I think we all hate his mom.
Yeah.
Because one thing, because we're all parents, and one thing you don't do is you don't turn your back on your children. And in that instance, to save face with her friends, she turned her back on her child.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose your family.
And so, but still, I like the dynamic between the two, but more than 5 minutes of them on the screen, I can go without it. Unless it's a full, X-Men fight and they there, but them two,
yeah,
it's okay. It's good if you need, some filler for the episode. Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, it's set up for like the budding relationship, and again, Marvel released a little cell phone, and it's talking about basically, how call this number and you get a little message from Jubilee, which is pretty cool.
Is that what that was? Because I didn't call it because I don't like numbers.
Yeah, the internet was having a good time with it for whatever reason. So I'll just go ahead. You guys go ahead and give that number a call. We got so much to break down in this episode. Taking time to really dissect that's really not, because we still haven't even gotten yet to the cameo of cameos.
Let's talk about the cameos.
It sets up for something. So look, so people who want to check out the number, look, 914-361-5397. That's the number that was given out by Marvel, and it kind of alludes to something, possibly a Jubilee spinoff to maybe some younger mutant content, with how they play in their downtime. That's kind of what it felt like it's set up for. There may be something.
X-Force?
So I don't know. So again, that's what I'm saying. I won't write it off, and I won't just blow past it. I
know they're not going to do Excalibur. I know they're not doing that one.
So take that. But now, all right. So let's get
into the cameos.
Look, Magneto was released. Right, Magneto was released, recorder, and this is where he goes to the North Pole.
No, we're not doing that.
He's got magnetic powers. He's got to freaking focus his stuff as much as possible, and he shut down everything. And even Wolverine knew, hey, this was Magneto. This was a declaration of war. Magneto is pissed because he ain't been saying nothing the entire time.
The funniest thing about this was Magneto was flying around almost naked and shut down the world. That's how powerful Magneto is. And if you pay attention, he went to one of the poles. I don't know if it was north or south, because that's where it's the strongest magnetic force, and it amped him up to almost beyond Omega, because we know he's Omega, and that's easy.
Yep.
And he was just like, "Yep, it's on," and all the prime signals failed. That's all it took.
Yeah, and dropped everybody.
Doing that, we started getting what's his name?
Reverberation.
When Bastion went in to talk to Sinister, they had Val, and she started going through her thing about why she, let Magneto go, which you can understand, because looking through her eyes, this isn't what she wanted either. Mm-hmm. She didn't want mutant destruction. She really wanted to figure out a way to work together, and this wasn't working. And so when all that started happening, you start getting all the cameos. And I know Will was happy because the first one you saw was Spider-Man, and that's his boy.
Yeah. So look, we're gonna get into this. We're not gonna go in order on the screen. We're gonna go in order as talked about. So let's put it this way. So let's start from the bottom. Let's start that. All right. We got Polaris and we got Hope. All right.
Hope
Both were
Summers
enslaved, and they
yes.
showed them early in the episode. They were enslaved and being utilized by Bastion's crew for whatever it is. So we don't know if we're going to get much out of them, if we're going to see them later on or not in future episodes like that. But this is just more or less confirmation that they exist. They're around. Phoenix Force is there within Hope. You can tell by the way she's
I'm
using
not
the powers.
understanding how the
I
Sentinels
don't
can
understand it
control the
either.
Phoenix Force. I don't understand it, but okay.
There's something to it. So that, and then Polaris being there and then working over the Earth and keeping it shielded, because again, we saw what she did, and that was kind of a setup for showing what Magneto was going to do. The way she was controlling the poles, so that, but she was controlling it within reason. So her powers were probably dampened. They're probably wearing power dampeners and stuff as well to be able to utilize their stuff.
And the 18 Sentinels just standing around her, threatening to beat her to death.
So thing. All right. So when it got shut down, everybody felt it. And so like that. And people were already on screen beforehand, which was Baron Zemo and Doom. First and foremost, if you bring Doom into any equation, everything just went up.
And you see, he wasn't happy about that either.
And he was not happy about it.
He was not happy because it affected his country, and we know he don't play about his country.
He don't play. As long as you stay out of Latveria, so with that, Doom will like, all right, I'm good. Like, just stay out of my stuff. As soon as he messed with his stuff, like that gives Doom reason to freak like, hey, I'm gonna go handle you.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Doom bots and stuff in the future at some point in time. But again, you also got Baron Zemo, which can set up something with the Masters of Evil and everything. We've already had Cap cameo in. So that's why Baron Zemo, I'm not surprised at all. It's like, cool. He's there because that's part of that whole freaking, Masters of Evil setup that, Baron Zemo was a part of, as well as dealing with other stuff like the Thunderbolts, because we know the Thunderbolts MCU movie is on its way at some point as well. So just them two on screen, absolutely fantastic freaking call in. We didn't need much from them. Everybody else, Juggernaut, we don't really count Juggernaut. That's just Morph transforming into Juggernaut.
Doing his thing. He is still the star. He is still the star.
And throwing hands. So that it's still fantastic to see, but it's not really a cameo. Let's talk about the main three cameos that, are going to really probably set something off. So first we'll go with Silver Samurai. All right. Silver Samurai is an enemy of Wolverine, has been for a while. I think he had a period of reform at one point, but I don't think it lasted, too long. But again, Silver Samurai. So it just tells you, okay, Japan, hey, they're on notice. Silver Samurai's on notice. What's going on?
And he's again, Silver Samurai is one of the people. Don't mess with mine.
Yep. So that's two now. We got don't mess with mine. Russia, we got a nuclear facility. They got shut down. And who's sitting in that nuclear facility? Omega freaking Red.
They don't want to let that dude out. Ever.
Yeah, no, he's out. He's out.
Let me tell you about this. Down. Let me tell you about Omega Red. When his eyes opened and them tentacles came out of his hand, I'm like, everybody in that facility is dead. Yeah. Everybody. He's not playing any games. You can't reason with Omega Red.
Not at all. Like, that's it. Like, people are dead. Something will happen. This also can allude to Colossus at some point in the future as well. Yep. Bringing Colossus in because, they've had epic throwdowns. So, yeah, Omega Red is loose and people are dead with that. The biggest cameo, I think, thus far
for you,
freaking are the top two. Like Doom, we've already mentioned with that, but Spider-Man. All right. Doom and Spider-Man, I think, are the biggest two. Just holy crap, they're here. Spider-Man fell to New York. He's like, yo, what is that? We know he has a relationship with the X-Men. He has a relationship with Wolverine and Deadpool specifically that, he frequents, conversations, missions and stuff with. So fact is, I would not be surprised that, we get to the final fight. Spider-Man swings into action and shows up. And this also could allude towards a Spider-Man series. I heard you mention like what Spider-Man 98. Somebody said.
I'm gonna make a prediction.
Go for
it.
And
this is just my prediction with all the cameos that we've seen, all of them so far up to now. I'm honestly thinking, and I know it's not going
animated universe.
I know it's not going to happen, but I would not be surprised if this was the biggest shocker ever. We've had Captain America, right? So that's the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
We know the Fantastic Four is around here somewhere. I can honestly say with Spider-Man and
Spider-Man in the City, Doom, and yeah, Fantastic Four is a definite.
it's there. So you know what this sets up that a lot of people might not be thinking about. The last time we had a big mutant, and especially with Xavier coming back and Magneto, we know they're going to fight. We know what happened the last time they got into a fight. It was a major storyline in Marvel. It was Onslaught.
So things are going to happen. Things are
just
going
think
to
about
be
this.
crazy.
Just think about this. You get all them fighting. Magneto and Xavier finally comes to blows. Xavier shuts down Magneto's mind like he did, and they merge. And next thing you know, you got Onslaught on screen. I'm like, I know it's not going to happen, but this is like almost a perfect setup.
That being said, like we still haven't even talked about the biggest moment in the episode.
That's because I didn't want it.
Final moment. Come to me, my X-Men.
I hated it.
Scott said it better.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, wow, Team Cyclops apparently in the chat.
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
Look, because Xavier's been gone this entire time. He's been gone. He's been trying to freaking foster relations. I get he was doing stuff, whatever.
He was in love.
But it took
on break.
For his kids, it took him entirely too long to get back. He's been gone for a minute. What is it, freaking 6 months, a year, whatever? I can't.
It's been over a year now.
Yeah, he's been gone for a minute. All right, he's had plenty and ample opportunity to return back at some point in time and start figuring out what's going on. But the fact is that he gets in there and he calls to me my X-Men with that.
That's annoying.
It's like, cool.
I don't like.
It's fine, bring it in. But the only reason it makes sense for me right now is because Storm's already in it, but Storm's coming back to the fold. Storm should be there next episode.
But Gambit's not because he's dead.
Gambit's not because he's dead. Freaking Beast is out there injured, but Beast's head showed up. So like
Rogue
that,
is
freaking
sleep.
We saw
Rogue is sleep.
Rogue is sleep. We saw Jean and Cyclops. So the heads that were there, Jean, Cyclops, Beast, and freaking Storm. So it's just like, okay, those are the primary four that he was calling to, and whoever else comes in. Now, hey, where's Iceman at? Like
he needs. And I would like to say the only way Gambit can come back is if Apocalypse brings back as a horseman like he did in Knights of X. The only way he's gonna come back. So I've had people talk to me like, bring Gambit back. No, he's out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I rather be out.
Something, leave it a value.
His emotional impact freaking was too
it played like it's supposed to play.
I need him to stay dead, and we got to start working everything else. So literally, Onslaught could be, and again, season 2 is already done. Season 2 is already done.
It might be Onslaught in season 2. You might bring in the Avengers and then kill them off.
You really could. So that, like this,
especially Iron Man, because he sucks.
That being said, hit that lovely red subscribe button. We could be talking about this all dang day long. Watch this series. It's been amazing. See you in the next one.